What is happening, all you Dolphins fans out there? Hope you're all having a great day. Today's video is all about the first round of the upcoming 2021 NFL Draft and the possible prospects the Dolphins could be selecting with the 3rd and 18th overall picks in the first round. Obviously, there's going to be a number of guys that are going to sneak into the first round of the draft. It really just happens every year. Guys that are on the fringe of being selected on the first night of the draft just end up solidifying themselves as first round picks over the course of the pre-draft process. But as it stands, there's a number of great talented picks here to go over, and let's start here at quarterback. So obviously at the top of the list here at quarterback is Trevor Lawrence, and there's no chance the Dolphins could land Lawrence. The Jaguars are going to select him with the first overall pick, and Urban Meyer and Shad Khan are never going to look back. That is an elite talent the Dolphins are missing out on there at quarterback, but oh well. We decided to take a quarterback last year, and that's the situation we find ourselves in now. We're rolling with Tua, and we'll see how Tua progresses over the course of his career. The next quarterback the Dolphins could be looking at with the 3rd overall pick is Justin Fields out of Ohio State. I think he's got the potential to be a franchise quarterback. He's 6'3", 225 pounds. He's got a nice arm. He's got good accuracy. He's a nice athlete. He plays the game with poise, and I think he's going to be successful in the NFL. Who knows? We'll have to see if the Dolphins think that Fields could be a better franchise quarterback for us moving forward, or if they think Tua can be the man for the Finns for many years to come. On to another quarterback the Dolphins could be taking at pick 3, Zach Wilson out of BYU. Wilson is a guy that's picked up a lot of steam, especially his last year here, playing for Brigham Young. And that's for good reason. He's very talented throwing the football. He can throw completions from all kind of angles, all kinds of platforms. He's just an awesome arm talent that I'm sure is going to go in the top 10 of the draft or the top 15. He does have a bit of a slender frame. He's 6'3", 210 pounds, so we'll see how that goes in the NFL. But really, at pick 3, I couldn't see the Dolphins taking him here, and I don't think he's the kind of guy they'd want to replace Tua with. Moving on to Trey Lance here, another guy that's most probably going to go in the first round. Definitely wouldn't be in play for the Dolphins at pick 3, but possibly could be a chance at pick 18. But I think there's even less a chance that we'd go after a guy like Trey Lance. I think he's probably going to go in the bottom third of the 3rd round, somewhere around Jordan Love went last year, to a great team that's got a vision for him, that knows how to use him in their scheme. So I don't see the Dolphins picking up Trey Lance in the first round of the draft. One last honourable mention here is Mac Jones. He had a great season this last season for Alabama. What else can you say, man? He was throwing the ball with accuracy. He was finding all the playmakers on that Alabama offense, and Devonta Smith was obviously making it easy for him. But despite throwing to a receiver of Smith's caliber, Mac Jones showed that, he could have a potential role in the NFL, or possibly even, develop into a starter. But he's shown that he can run an offense. He can get the ball to where it needs to go. He can throw with timing. He can throw with accuracy. He's not a great athlete at all, and that's a dying breed in the NFL. You need a guy that can get out of the pocket and make things happen. But I really think Mac Jones is going to go in the 2nd round, or possibly even in the 3rd round. But honestly, I don't see the Dolphins taking a look at Mac Jones at all in this draft. Moving on to running back in the 1st round, the only 2 guys at this point of the process I could see the Dolphins drafting in the 1st round are Najee Harris out of Alabama and Travis Etienne from Clemson. What else can you say about Najee Harris? 6'2", 230 pounds. He's just an absolute dynamic threat at the running back position. As we saw this last season for Alabama and their run-up to a championship, Najee Harris can do it all from the running back position. He's got absolute elite burst and athleticism to get to the outside and dominate up the sideline. And he also does a great job catching the football from the position. Najee Harris, I think, would be an awesome pick for the Dolphins here with an 18th overall pick. And as for Travis Etienne, he's a very different style running back. He's all about speed. I think he's going to run a 4.3 during this pre-draft process. But that's pretty much what his game's all about. He's all about elite burst, elite speed, and just the ability to outrun absolutely everyone out there on the football field. I'm not a big fan of his tackle breaking ability. I mean, he's so quick and just so athletic and so flexible. He can break tackles at time, but he doesn't have the sheer ability to just break any tackle out there on the field. So that's something that I'm not a big fan of when it comes to Etienne. But, this kind of game-breaking speed always helps out an offense, and Etienne definitely would strike some fear into the hearts of defenses in the NFL. He's very much in play here for the Dolphins at pick 18, and he would be a great addition to this offense. One guy who could possibly sneak into the 1st round is Javonte Williams. out of North Carolina. I talked about Javonte in great detail in my second to last video, and you guys have really got to check him out. He can just do it all at the position. He runs with tremendous power, and honestly, his best attribute is his ability to break tackles, and that's exactly what you want from an NFL running back. Javonte Williams is probably going to go early second round, and I'd love for the Dolphins to take him with our early second round pick. That's the only spot I could really see making sense for Javonte Williams. So moving on to wide receiver, and this is probably the best list of any in the first round. There is a number of great guys, elite guys that could really help out the Dolphins receiver position and really help out Tua in year 2. Let's get it started here with Devontae Smith. We've all seen what he can do at the position, and I think he comes out of the draft tailor-made for the NFL. He's a great route runner. He's got tremendous speed and quickness. He's got great hands. Smith would be awesome for the Dolphins, and his past chemistry with Tua would only make this pick even more sweeter. Obviously, the only possible spot for the Dolphins to take Smith would be at pick 3. On to the next receiver the Dolphins could take in the upcoming draft is Ja'Marr Chase out of LSU. An absolute freak of a receiver. He had 22 touchdowns for LSU in 2019. He's just a very dominant receiver that would be great for this offense and could really blossom into a number 1 target for Tua and for this team for many years to come. He can get open. He does a great job going up and getting the football in contested situations. Ja'Marr Chase is as elite as it gets, and he's definitely going to go top 10 in this draft. Another receiver the Dolphins could be taking in the top 10 here would be Jalen Waddle out of Alabama. Another former teammate of Tua that's got absolute elite speed. He's a 4.2 kind of guy. He's got similar speed to Henry Ruggs coming out last year, and I think that Waddle is going to absolutely tear it up in the NFL. You always want that kind of game-breaking speed on an offense, and honestly, I wouldn't be mad at all if the Dolphins selected him in the upcoming draft, because that kind of speed is rare, and being a former teammate of Tua is only a great cherry on top. Another receiver the Dolphins could possibly be taking in the upcoming draft is Rashad Bateman, the receiver out of Minnesota, and I think he'd make sense with the 18th overall pick, and man, I'm a huge fan of his game. He's a great route runner, he's incredibly tough, he's got sticky, elite hands, and you can just tell watching his tape, he's going to be great in the NFL. He plays the game the right way, and I think he'd be an awesome target for Tua for many years to come. Rashad Bateman, you guys have really got to check him out, and I think you'd love what you see, because he's got all the makings of a very dominant receiver in the NFL. Moving on to the next receiver the Dolphins could take in the first round is Terrace Marshall Jr. out of LSU, 6'3", 200 pounds. He's a very similar player to Rashad Bateman. He's just a couple inches taller. Very tough, great route runner. Does a great job in contested situations, just going up and getting the football. He's another talented and dynamic receiver that I would love for the Dolphins to take, and I think he's going to tear it up in the league. He's got every trait in the world that you'd want from an NFL receiver. The last receiver here, who the Dolphins could potentially be taking in the first round, is Kadarius Toney from Florida. Kadarius Toney is just very dynamic with the ball in his hands. He can make it happen from anywhere on the field. He reminds me a lot of a Deebo Samuel, a receiver that the 49ers took in the second round a couple of years ago. Same kind of player. He can take snaps at running back, but where I think he's going to shine the most in the NFL is playing the slot receiver position, because that's exactly where his physical traits are going to shine the most, and the Dolphins are in need of a slot receiver, so you never know. Kadarius Toney could be an option here in the first round. So moving on to tight end, there's no tight ends at the moment who I think would be worthy of a first round pick. There's guys like Pat Fryermuth from Penn State and Brevin Jordan from Miami that are very dynamic talents at tight end, but I don't see any of those guys going in the first round as it stands. So let's move on to offensive tackle. So obviously at the top of the list here is Penei Sewell. And honestly, what else can you say about Sewell? He's 6'5", 330 pounds. He's got all the makings of being an elite tackle in the NFL. If we were to take him at 3, it would mean that we'd be committing to building one of the most dominant and physically imposing lines in the entire league. And that's exactly what Sewell would bring. He'd start there at left tackle, or you never know, at right tackle, depending what the Dolphins would want to do with Austin Jackson. But Sewell right away would come in and just elevate this offensive line and this offense. So Sewell would be another option there at pick 3. Another couple tackles the Dolphins could take in the first round is Samuel Cosmi from Texas, Rashawn Slater from Northwestern, Christian Darrisaw from Virginia Tech, Jalen Mayfield from Michigan, Alex Leatherwood out of Alabama, another former teammate of Tua, and lastly, Liam Eichenberg from Notre Dame. That is a big list there. That's another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's another half dozen tackles the Dolphins could take in the first round. They're all talented guys. They've all got their own unique physical traits and pros and cons. And I really don't think there'd be a point in taking any of those guys aside from Sewell. I think Sewell is the only first round tackle that makes sense for the Dolphins. So moving on to the interior offensive line, centers and guards. A guard who I could see the Dolphins possibly taking in the first round is Elijah Vera Tucker from USC. He's a guy that can play guard and tackle. Very talented. 6'4", 300 pounds. He's very highly rated on draft boards at the moment. And I'm sure he'd be a nice piece for this offensive line. Other than that, there aren't many other centers and guards I'm seeing who'd be worthy of the first round. There's Wyatt Davis from Ohio State, but I think he's going to go early second round. Trey Smith from Tennessee, a former 5-star guy. I think he's probably going to go early to mid second round. Landon Dickerson from Alabama, one of the best centers in this draft, and he was voted as the best center in college football this past season. But honestly, I think he's going to go in the second round. Same with Creed Humphrey. Even though I did think of Creed Humphrey as a first round pick for most of this last season, but just watching his tape and seeing what's being said about Humphrey over the past month, it seems like he's kind of limited getting to the second level. He's kind of more of a center that flourishes in more of like a man power blocking scheme, and that is exactly what the Dolphins want from a center. Who knows, they could be looking for more of an athletic center that can get to the second level and, and get up on those linebackers, but it seems like the way this offensive line has been assembled, that's the kind of blockers they want. They want guys that can win one-on-one and just blow up the man in front of them. But at this point, there's no other centers and guards I could see the Dolphins taking in the first round. So, moving on to defensive tackle. Similar to interior offensive line, there aren't many guys I'm seeing at the moment that are worthy of going in the first round. I mean, there's guys like Christian Barmore from Alabama, but he's kind of an up-and-down player. He isn't very consistent, and that is exactly what Jordan Phillips was coming out of Oklahoma, so I wouldn't want the Dolphins to repeat that. Jay Tufali, I took him in my mock draft the other day with a 35th overall pick. Jay Tufali, he's 6'3", 315 pounds. He's a very dynamic tackle, and I think he'd be a nice replacement for Devon Gottschall, but I don't see him going in the first round. And other than those two guys, no other guys here I could see going on day one of the draft. So let's move on to edge rushers, defensive ends, and 3-4 outside linebackers. The top of the list here is Kwity Paye from Michigan. And honestly, with us signing Emmanuel Ogbah last year and Shaq Lawson, and with Van Ginkel really turning into a nice player for the Finns this last season, Van Ginkel just really kicked butt in 2020. For us to take a player like Kwity Paye, I don't think it would be great value for the team here in the first round, especially with other needs at other areas of the team. I really don't see us taking a guy like Kwity Paye early in the first round. Don't get me wrong, I think he's very talented. I think he's got a chance to be a nice edge rusher in the NFL. I mean, he's 6'4", 280 pounds. He's a great package at edge rusher. But, I mean, who knows? Maybe we could take a swipe at him if he was there at 18th overall. But, at 3, there's no chance. And, I really don't think, would be targeting a player like Paye, especially with the other edge rushers we've got on the team. Another possible edge rusher would be Joseph Asai from Texas. He's purely a speed rusher, and he's a great rusher at that. He's an elite rusher coming off the edge. 6'3", 245 pounds. He might be a bit light for what the Dolphins are looking for. I think we're looking for, guys that are like 250 plus. Ogbah is 275 pounds. Shaq Lawson is like 265. Van Ginkel, I think, got way above 250 this year. I don't think Asai would be the kind of edge rusher the Dolphins would be looking at. But he is super athletic, so there is a chance he could be, like a sub-packaged linebacker. And he's got that kind of versatility, to rush off the edge and play, as an inside-outside linebacker. So he could be a guy the Dolphins are looking at number 18, because his physical traits just really jump off the screen. And he's got the kind of versatility that Flores loves from his edge rushers and linebackers. Moving on to the last edge rusher I could see the Dolphins possibly taking in the 2021 draft is Gregory Rousseau from Miami. He opted out this past season, so we really didn't see much from Rousseau in 2020 at all. But in 2019, he was pretty dominant. He had 15.5 sacks, and he showed that he's kind of an elite edge rusher. He's 6'5", 270 pounds, or 265 or something like that. but he's got versatility to rush from the inside, and the Dolphins, might find that valuable. So I'm not a big fan of his, but who knows? The Dolphins could be taking a look at him, but Gregory Rousseau, I think he's probably going to go somewhere in the second round, I think, at this point. Moving on to linebackers, the Dolphins could be taking in the first round, and we've got a big need here. We need a guy next to Jerome Baker that can do it all, that can rush the quarterback, that can cover any skill player out there on the field, and there's a couple guys here in the first round that could definitely fit that bill. And the number one here would be Micah Parsons out of Penn State. Super athletic, super dynamic. He's got great instincts, 6'3", 245 pounds. He's a former edge rusher. Micah Parsons is as dynamic an athlete as it gets at linebacker and for this defense. Another first round linebacker would be Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah from Notre Dame. This guy might be the most athletic linebacker in this draft. He is a little undersized at 6'2", 216 pounds or 215, whatever he is. But that doesn't take anything away from him on the field. He's a super athlete out there. Absolutely elite closing speed. He's a very physical tackler. He's just got all the physical ability in the world to be a dominating linebacker in the NFL. You can tell he's got 4.4 speed, but he's also got the toughness and physicality to match. He's a little raw at times, diagnosing plays, but the kind of athlete he is, that really doesn't matter at all. I'm sure that part of his game would come along with time, but yeah, check him out, guys. Owusu-Koramoah plays the game like a 4.4 receiver. That's the kind of athleticism he has out there on the field, and he would be perfect for the Dolphins at pick 18, because like I said, we definitely need a linebacker to pair with Jerome. Another linebacker that would make sense for the Dolphins at 18 is Zaven Collins, the linebacker out of Tulsa. He is one of my favorite prospects in this entire draft. He's 6'4", 260 pounds. He won the award last season for Best Defensive Player in college. And when you watch his tape, you can see why. He can just do it all. He rushes the quarterback at an elite level. He's great in coverage for his size, being, 6'4", around 260 pounds. But he just plays the game at an incredibly high level. He's elite in everything he does. He's great in coverage. He picked off 4 passes this past season, and he had 4 sacks. So Zaven Collins would be perfect in this Brian Flores defense, because everything he excels at on the football field is exactly what we need from our linebackers. So moving on to cornerbacks, with Xavier Howard and Byron Jones, and with us taking Noah Igbenogany last year in the first round, I really don't see us taking another first round corner. Who knows? They could prove us wrong and really want to shore up that corner position in case they want to move off one of those guys in the future. But I'm just going to ring off a couple names here who could be an option. Patrick Surtain from Alabama. I think he's going to go in the top 15 of the draft, so I don't think the Dolphins would have a chance with him. But Patrick Surtain, I would love him on the team, but yeah, I don't see him landing with the Dolphins. Caleb Farley from Virginia Tech. He's a big, versatile guy, 6'2", 200 pounds. I think he's going to be great in the NFL. J.C. Horn out of South Carolina. Similar player to Caleb Farley. He's a big corner, 6'1", 210 pounds. I think he's going to do great in the league. And lastly, Eric Stokes from Georgia. I think he's going to go late in the first round, so I don't see us taking him. But that's a couple guys who the Dolphins possibly could be taking a look at. But as I said, it's highly unlikely we take a corner in the first round this year. On to safety. Honestly, there's no safeties at this point who I could see going in the first round. But like every year, I think there's going to be a couple guys that are going to creep into first round consideration. But at this point, there's no safeties I think the Dolphins will want to take in the first round. We've got 2 chances to take a top guy in the second round. So I think that's pretty highly likely on day 2 of the draft. But yeah, I don't see us taking any safeties. So that's it for this video, guys. That's all the possible prospects I could see the Dolphins taking in the first round. A number of talented guys here. Just like last year, we're in a great position to improve the team. We don't have 3 first-round picks like last year, but 2 picks is more than great. With a 3rd overall pick, that is tremendous value. We can do whatever we want. We can take Sewell. We can take Devontae Smith. We can trade back and pick up more picks. Just the sky's the limit with that 3rd pick. And with the 18th pick, we can do whatever we want. We can take an offensive lineman, a linebacker, a running back, a receiver. We've got unlimited options there with the 18th pick. And yeah, there's no doubt in my mind that Chris Grier and Flores and Marvin Allen and Reggie McKenzie are going to make the right decisions here in the first round to improve the team, because I really love their draft class from last year. Check out my last video. I did a review on the 2020 draft class. Just went through all the picks, and gave my opinion on the guys. So make sure to check that out. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. As always, make sure to leave your feedback in the comments section. I want to hear your guys' opinions on what the Dolphins should do in the first round. Should they trade back? Should we trade Tua? Should we trade for Deshaun Watson? Should we outright take Justin Fields? Let me know what you guys think, because I'm sure a lot of you guys are going to have opinions on what the Dolphins should do, because we've got a real chance to blossom into a great team in 2021, and I'm very confident we can do that. Alrighty guys, I'll see you guys in the next one. Fins up, baby.